Good afternoon. My name is Rebecca Shi. I am the Executive Director of the American Business Immigration Coalition, a bipartisan group of 1,200 CEOs and employers across 16 states, from Texas to Idaho, Florida to Arizona. Our goal is federal immigration reform that grows the economy, spur job creation, and keep families together. We are thrilled to have Senator Bob Menendez today to discuss the ongoing efforts to include immigration reform in the budget reconciliation. Senator Menendez is joined by former Congressman Luis Gutierrez. I became involved in immigration because my mother was undocumented with the final order of deportations for 19 years. I grew up in Millburn, New Jersey. My mom was a doctor in China. Without papers, my mom worked in Chinese restaurants, and the tips that she made put me through the University of Chicago. Congressman Gutierrez and Senator Menendez stopped my mom's deportation. She got a green card. Today, as a proud US citizen, my mom works at a laboratory treating patients with tumors and ulcers. My mom's example shows that when you legalize people, you unleash their economic potential. I am grateful for Congressman Luis Gutierrez and Senator Bob Menendez every single day. No one understands the economic and moral imperative more than Bob Worsley, APEC co-chair and former Republican state senator of Arizona. Please welcome Bob Worsley.
Thank you, Rebecca. My name is Bob Worsley. I am co-chair of American Business Immigration Coalition. I'm the founder of Sky Mall, which I sold to Rupert Murdoch in 2001. I am and have served in a number of leadership callings in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I served for 3 terms as a Republican state senator in Arizona. I primaried and defeated an anti-immigrant Senate president, showing that you can be pro-immigrant and win a Republican primary. Through my faith and work, I know undocumented immigrants. They are hardworking, wonderful family and faith-oriented people. I believe we need to legalize dreamers, farm workers, and essential workers for our nation and economy to be stronger. At ABIC, since the first of the year, we have met with 41 Republican senators directly and held 47 public events with Republican and Democratic senators. We believe there is a deal to be made. But now we do not see good faith negotiations coming from the Republicans since they have concluded it's a good political wedge issue for 2022 midterms. Any bipartisan traction we had seems to have been lost. Our preference is bipartisanship, but absent Republican good faith efforts, we urge Democrats to do everything they can to legalize hardworking immigrants through budget reconciliation. Our economy has 3.1 million unfilled jobs. Employers need workers. Our workers deserve dignity. 72% of American voters support common sense solutions. That is why I am honored as a Republican, as a person of faith, to welcome the great senator from New Jersey, Bob Menendez. Senator Menendez is the chief sponsor of the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021. Which we also strongly support. The senator will walk us through the immigration budget reconciliation process and how we get it over the finish line. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bob. It is now my pleasure to introduce my former Congressman, Luis Gutierrez. He's fearless, he's ferocious, he fights for every immigrant, including my mother. Please welcome Congressman Luis Gutierrez.
Thank you, Becca, and thank you to all of the wonderful people that put together APEC. I'm proud to work with you in my post years from Congress. I have the great privilege today, and at the same time, I feel a responsibility of introducing Senator Bob Menendez from New Jersey. And he's going to tell you about the bill. We know we're going to win. We know the American people are with us. To me, this is really a political equation. Do we have the political will to use everything in our arsenal, every tool in our arsenal, and to eliminate roadblocks that unnecessarily stop the immigrant community from achieving the justice and the fairness that they so deserve. So I'm just going to speak a moment to the character and to the tenacity of our leader, Senator Bob Menendez. I remember meeting after meeting with the Hispanic Congressional Caucus, with President Obama. And when it came to immigration, the silence was almost deafening when it came around immigration. But Senator Bob Menendez always raised his voice each and every time he sat across the table from President Obama, insisting that he keep his promise to do everything he can and could to make sure. That's Democrat on Democrat. Well, I saw colleagues of mine wishing to get their favorite baseball signed by the president. The only thing Bob Menendez wanted signed by this President Obama was comprehensive immigration reform. I saw that each and every day. It is not easy to stand up to the president and the leader of your party, but he did, and he always has. And secondly, because I want to speak to the character and tenacity. Many times, many of you might not know, Obama would get a little testy with us. And I remember one occasion in which someone brought something up and he said, "You guys are always asking me for something." And without hesitation, Senator Bob Menendez said, "The only thing I've ever asked you for, Mr. President, is you keep your word and get us comprehensive immigration reform." That speaks to me, to the character, to the tenacity, to the willingness to sacrifice politically for others at the expense of yourself. That's the leader we have. Thank you so much. Let us all welcome Senator Bob Menendez from the state of New Jersey.
Well, thank you, Luis, for those kind words. Buenos días a todos. In this fight for a fair and just immigration system, you and I are more than allies. We are brothers, and brothers who shared a dream and have never once given up on it, a dream that I feel we may be closer to ever before, possibly realizing it today. So we thank you for your continued efforts and for your passion. Let me thank Rebecca Shee and the American Business Immigration Coalition for once again bringing us together. I appreciated the words of Mr. Worsley, as well as all the leaders and advocacy groups who have joined us. My message today is simple. The time for action is now. Doing nothing is not an option. Now, we have worked very hard in a bipartisan effort to try to get to common ground. I've attended at least 10 or 12 meetings with Republican colleagues to do so. But I am not optimistic that that will ultimately get us to where we need to be. Reconciliation, the budget process that is known as reconciliation, offers us an opportunity, if that fails, to secure citizenship for dreamers, for TPS holders, for farm workers, and essential workers who kept our economy afloat and our lives safer throughout this pandemic. And we cannot let the opportunity to do right by them and the nation pass us by. Now, as you all know, I hope we could get something big done without pursuing reconciliation. That's why I introduced the U.S. Citizenship Act in the Senate, in this early term of the Senate. That's why I've been pushing alongside the White House for bold, inclusive reforms that bring people out of the shadows, eliminate the many cruelties and inefficiencies that plague the current immigration system. And that's why, as I've mentioned, I've engaged in bipartisan talks for several months now in the hopes of finding common ground. But here's the truth I'm beginning to realize, that the Republicans of 2021 are not the same Republicans I worked with in 2013 to pass comprehensive immigration reform in the Senate with 68 votes. These days, most of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle are more interested in punishing immigrants than they are in recognizing their incredible contributions to this country. They've learned from ex-President Trump that xenophobia is a potent political tool, and they want to preserve it for the campaign season. Yet we know in poll after poll, year after year, that huge bipartisan majorities of Americans support a pathway to citizenship. And we also know that bringing people out of the shadows will have a profoundly positive impact on our economy to the benefit of all Americans. To those who say it isn't possible, let's be clear. The Senate in the past has included immigration reform elements in reconciliations before. In 2005, the Republican-controlled Senate passed a reconciliation package that included several immigration provisions. For example, they used reconciliation to increase the number of immigrant green cards. And they were able to do so because those measures had a significant budgetary input. The same goes through for this effort. If we delineate the clear economic and budgetary impact legalizing millions of undocumented workers would have, I'm optimistic the parliamentarian should greenlight our efforts. The economic gains made possible by providing a path to citizenship for dreamers, TPS holders, farm workers, and essential workers are indisputable. A Center for American Progress analysis projects we would boost the United States gross domestic product, GDP, by a cumulative total of 1.5 trillion over 10 years and create over 400,000 new jobs. And let's not forget the impact on tax revenue. Legalizing the undocumented will grow their incomes by $149 billion a year and potentially generate another nearly $40 billion in federal, payroll, state, and local tax revenue. But it's not just immigrants who would see higher wages. American workers also stand to gain when they no longer have to compete with undocumented and all too often exploited labor. The status quo delivers none of these economic dividends. Today, we have more than 10 million immigrants living, working, and raising families in our communities without legal status. These are good, decent, hardworking people, people who believe in the promise of America down to their bones. They didn't come here for handouts. They came here for hard work, and that's exactly what they do each and every day. They work hard. Ellos trabajan bien duro por la oportunidad de lograr el sueño americano para ellos y sus familias. Throughout this pandemic, they kept our shelves stocked, our families fed, our economy afloat. When we were all being told by the public health experts, stay home, they were the ones in meat packing plants and poultry plants and pharmacy and food stores and supermarkets doing the essential work to continue to feed us all and to take care of us. They deserve an opportunity to come out of the shadows, get right with the law, and pursue a pathway to citizenship. As we speak, Democrats are working to finalize a $3.5 trillion budget resolution that instructs the Judiciary Committee to include legislative language creating a pathway to citizenship. So that's a good sign. The road ahead is going to be bumpy, but I believe that we can get there. I think Democrats recognize the urgency of the moment now more than ever after the recent court ruling on DACA. As a matter of fact, later today, I've been invited to go to speak to President Biden with colleagues from the Congressional Hispanic Caucus on DACA, and obviously I intend to raise more than DACA in that regard. However, we need each and every one of you to support us in amplifying one critical message. The time is now. Inaction is not. We need business leaders to trumpet the economic gains made possible by immigration reforms. We need faith leaders to make the moral case for standing with our immigration brothers and sisters who are as American as you and me, except on paper. We need advocacy groups and members of the undocumented community to continue telling your stories. These next several weeks are critical. As the Senate works out the details of the immigration provisions, rest assured I'll continue to use the power of my voice to urge our caucus leaders not to let this opportunity go by. We said we would use any and every legislative vehicle to bring relief to the undocumented, and now it's time to back up those words with actions. And make no mistake, we're going to fight for our dreamers, TPS holders. We'll fight for farm workers and meat packers. We'll fight for our healthcare workers and essential workers, our loved ones, our friends, and our neighbors. This is our moment. And together, we have to fight to seize it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Menendez, for your words on including immigration in the reconciliation process. My name is Juan Carlos Cerda, and I'm the Deputy Director of Organizing for ABIC. I will be moderating this afternoon's Q&A. I'm also a DACA recipient, and my parents are essential workers. My grandfather first came to Texas to pick crops. Our co-sponsors for this event will ask questions in groups of 5. Senator Menendez, you will answer each group once the group of 5 presents their questions. I'm going to ask all of the participants in the Q&A to please keep their question brief to be respectful of the senator's time. Our first group will be Michael Hill, Associate Director of Government Relations for the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, Murad Awade, Executive Director for the New York Immigration Coalition, Josh Bernstein, Director of Immigration for SEIU, Jeremy Robbins, Executive Director for the New American Economy, and Abide Mousavian, Director of Federal Advocacy for the National Immigration and Law Center. Our first question is from Michael Hill. Michael, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Senator, for all the work you've done over the years on behalf of migrants and refugees. The bishops deeply appreciate it. It is truly God's work. I wanted to ask a question about other provisions that could find their way into a reconciliation bill. We're concerned about overly harsh enforcement provisions or provisions that would roll back protections in existing law for unaccompanied children or asylum seekers. Can you tell me what is being done to ensure that provisions like that don't creep into a bill and make it a very difficult choice for senators and representatives?
Thank you, Michael. Our next question is from Murad Awade.
Thanks, Juan, and thank you, Senator Menendez, for being with us today. How can statewide organizations like the NYIC work with you and our own Senator Majority Leader Chuck Schumer to ensure that the budget reconciliation package captures as many immigrants as possible? Thank you.
Thank you, Murad. Our next question is from Joshua Bernstein of SEIU.
Thanks, Juan Carlos and ABIC, for organizing this event. And thank you, Senator Menendez, for joining and for your tireless commitment to immigrants and to our country for so many decades. We're extremely excited about the possibility of something really special happening finally in the next few months. It's tantalizingly close and amazing to think about. Can you share any advice you may have about what you think we should be doing to get it across the finish line, and things that we may not have thought of, or things maybe that we should be doing more of?
Thank you, Josh. Our next question is from Jeremy Robbins.
Thank you, Juan Carlos, and thank you, Senator, for all your leadership. My question is about this moment. This is our moment. We are all in trying to get something on reconciliation. If we can't, can you talk a little bit about the path forward? How do we get something across the finish line this year if reconciliation, for whatever reason, isn't an option?
Thank you, Jeremy. And then our A final question for this group is Abigail Musavian, and then you can respond, Senator.
Thank you so much. Thanks to our friends at ABIC for organizing this, and to you, Senator Menendez, for your years of relentless leadership on behalf of immigrant communities. We're so grateful for this opportunity to be with you. And my question is, echoing the excitement and optimism that we have about something finally happening in Congress, recognizing the fact that millions of essential workers have cared for us long before, and also during these hard months, many months during the COVID-19 pandemic. What are you doing to ensure that your colleagues, that your Democratic colleagues are committed to including legalization for a broad category of essential workers as part of the reconciliation package? Thank you.
Okay, well, they're all great questions, and I have a vote going on the Senate, so I will try to be responsive, but I'll have to truncate some of my answers. On Mr. Hill's question on behalf of the Catholic bishops, look, we are looking to expand the scope of opportunity to include the greatest number of people. We are not looking to close the door on asylum seekers or unaccompanied children and other such provisions. In a negotiation with our Republican colleagues, the focus of the conversation has been all about the border, and it is about changing asylum laws in a way that I think would undermine our historical commitment to asylum. And that's one of the reasons we have not been able to move forward on a broader package with them. So if it comes to reconciliation, we are not going to take steps that move us backwards at the end of the day. We are looking to take steps that move us forward. So I do not want to see provisions that take one group and ultimately do it at the cost of another. In terms of what we can do, I know that the question on what can the coalition do, and also the SEIU. Look, I think I always am fond of the remarks that Adlai Stevenson, a former great United States Senator, used to make. He used to say, "When I get the heat at home, I see the light in Washington." We need to generate continuous heat at home so that there will be light here in Washington. I also, what that means is that every member who you have access to in the United States Senate, having them not only be supportive, but voicing their support, both in the general public as well as in the Senate, and to the majority leaders, attention, emboldens the process of reconciliation. I also think it's important to do as it relates to the White House, to make sure that the administration is also equally as focused as it designs its grand plans for the American families, that it understands that American families include immigrant families, and that without immigration reform, that American family plan falls short. In terms of, so I would just say that to Josh and to Murad, those are the things that I would be focused on, and also, in the public forum, raising the questions as well. And I would love to see business leaders be far more vocal in terms of the desire to see immigration reform be passed. Jeremy, if we don't have reconciliation, I'm not sure that there's a pathway forward, because we started this whole process with a series. We had 10 to 12, and I mean not just brief meetings, significant meetings, trying to plow through what would be possible with our Republican colleagues. And to be honest with you, even as we were speaking to them, I never counted to 10, which is the minimum we would need to see 10 Republican colleagues at the same time, even talking about the same thing. So,
Senator, I'm sorry to interrupt.
I don't think we can have, if we don't have reconciliation, then I don't think we find a pathway forward.
We know that your time here is limited, so we'll bring up the second group of questions, okay, so that you can address those before you go.
Yep.
Our next group is Elisa Salinas, a member of CASA. Areli Arteaga, Deputy Director, Political Director for the United Farm Workers, William Diaz, founder of Casa de Venezuela, Father Cleet Kiley, Senior Advisor for Immigration Policy for Unite Here, and Miriam Feldblum, Executive Director for the President's Alliance for Higher Education and Immigration. Our first question is from Elisa Salinas. Elisa, you can go ahead.
Oh, hi. My name's Elisa. I was brought here by my mom when I was 9. She always worked in the mushroom industry from 5 to 8. I never got to spend time with her. So my question would be, how would you be able to help us better the lives for those people that are working every day nonstop to just feed their families? Is there going to be anything that will help them out just a little bit so they are able to spend more time with their families? Because I can tell you up until now, there's not enough time that I spent with my mom that I wished I could have when I was younger.
Thank you, Elisa, for your question. Our next question will come from Areli Arteaga.
Good morning, Senator Menendez, and thank you, Carlos. My name is Areli Arteaga. I was born and raised in Idaho, and I'm the proud daughter of undocumented farm workers that have worked in the dairy industry, but also harvesting potatoes and onions, among other commodities. New Jersey's nearly 9 million residents, and all Americans can eat thanks to my parents and more than 2.4 million farm workers. And so I know that you're short on time, Senator, and we hear you on trying to go through the bipartisan route and it having unfruitful endings. And so will you commit to ensuring that the Senate budget reconciliation bill includes a path to citizenship for farm workers like my parents and many like them?
Thank you, Areli. Our next question is from William Diaz. Go ahead, William. William, if you can turn your camera on, please.
Okay, oops. Okay. Yes. Okay, thank you, Juan Carlos. And thanks, Senator Menendez. Thanks, my friend, Representative Luis Gutierrez for being with us. I helped deliver a little bit over 10,000 votes from Central Florida Venezuelans to Senator Rick Scott. Now, Senator Scott and Senator Rubio won't even co-sponsor the Secure Act. How can we get the Secure Act passed without Republican support? And what else can we do to help obtain permanent residence for our TPS holders?
Thank you, William. Our next question is from Father Cleet Kiley. Go ahead, Father.
Yes, thank you to ABIC and thank you, Senator, for being part of this today. I represent Unite Here, the Hotel and Restaurant Workers Union on this call, and we're in a coalition with the Painters Union, Laborers, United Food and Commercial Workers, Teamsters, Iron Workers, Bricklayers, and we have a particular focus on TPS holders. And the concern we have is to make sure that somehow TPS falls out of the reconciliation. Can you advise us whatever we can do, or our employers also for whom these TPS workers are in relationship?
Thank you, Father. I'm sorry, we have to cut it short. I'm so sorry, Father. Last question is Miriam Feldblum. If you can keep your question brief, please.
Thank you so much for your leadership, Senator Menendez. We in higher education are so grateful for your work supporting immigrant and international students. Presidents and chancellors in their campuses are eager to support Dreamers and DACA recipients. How can higher education leaders and campuses help to ensure that legalization for these students and alumni is included in the final reconciliation package? Whom should we contact in the Senate? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, well, let me try to take these and then I'm gonna have to jump off to go vote. First of all, to the young lady who asked about how can we be helpful to help her mother spend more time with her. If in fact legalization would take place as we envision it, her economic opportunity would be far better. The number of hours she would probably have to work would be far less. And the benefits that we have under the law would be spread more widely so that individuals like her could actually spend more time with you. So it's another compelling reason for reform. Two of you asked about TPS in general terms. To the extent that we can get reconciliation in, getting immigration reform in reconciliation, I am convinced that it will include at a minimum Dreamers, TPS, farm workers, and some category of how we define essential workers. That will not take all 10 or 11 million that my U.S. Citizenship Act would achieve, nor would it deal with the 5 or 10 year bar necessarily and other elements of immigration reform, but it would take a very significant part. I don't have fears that to the extent that we get immigration reform and reconciliation, that TPS will fall out. And with reference to the higher education institutions making the case, I would just echo what I said previously. You all have very significant input in your respective states. If you would all raise your voices with your U.S. senators, with the members of the House of Representatives, with the Secretary of Education, and with the White House, those would be powerful ways to do so. And I think you have to talk about, as well as the educational benefits and the expansion of human capital that would take place as a result of that, what the economics are for your institutions as well and for the states in which you reside in. And that would be, I think, a powerful tool. And certainly universities are forums of public discussion of issues. This should be an opportunity to have a echo chamber across the country to make the case. So I would just say to all of you, thank you for your insightful questions. Really, it's just time to keep the heat on so that people in Washington will see the light, so that our leadership, both in the Senate, the House, and in the White House, understand that this needs to be a critical issue. And in your public forums in which you are speaking these issues, the parliamentarian of the Senate ultimately has the final decision, but I know that she must read articles, see TV, listen to the radio, just like anybody else. And the case that the reform will have an economic impact of significant positive elements is ripe for reconciliation under the budget. Thank you all so much, and hasta la victoria. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you so much, Senator Menendez, for spending time with us. And thank you to all of our event co-sponsors for posing their questions to the senator. It is now my pleasure to introduce Al Cardenas, the former chairman of the Florida Republican Party and our ABIC co-chair, to conclude our event. So I will ask Al to please turn on his camera. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Juan Carlos. Thanks to everyone. Well, you've listened what we've had to say. Let me add the sense of urgency that I think all of you need to hear. We've been dealing seriously with this next wave of immigration reform since President Bush made a proposal in 2006. We had a brief sense of optimism when we had a bipartisan bill in the Senate 7 or maybe 10 years ago. And most of the senators who supported that bipartisan bill have since dropped out of that concept. And so here we are. What creates a sense of urgency is that the Supreme Court, by a 5-4 vote a few weeks ago, took a different position regarding DACA. That means that if you're a DACA qualified person, you will no longer be allowed to apply for getting work permits, things of that nature. The future of DACA people covered by those executive orders is highly in question at this point. And don't you doubt that more lawsuits will follow to clarify that in ways that would hurt. Right now, we have had on the books in the Senate 2 separate proposals, one for essential workers, one for DACA recipients. and none of the key Republicans have agreed to co-sponsor it. And that applies to my two Republican senators from Florida, Scott and Rubio, perhaps whose state is more impacted than most by this situation. That was the easier way to synchronize this and make sure that we had two bills, set-alone bills, pass the Senate without being worried about anything else. That has not happened, and it's unlikely to happen. The only route available, it appears, is a reconciliation bill. Now, a number of us Republicans don't like a number of measures in the reconciliation bill, but we recognize that it's going to be mostly a Democrat bill passed by Democrats with little, if any, Republican support in the Senate. And so if it's going to pass anyway, we want immigration to be a part of it. That's our last chance in quite a while, I'm afraid to add. And so we want to make sure that the measures we're talking about that protect, essential workers, that protect DACA recipients and others are part of this reconciliation measure for all the reasons that Senator Menendez gave. Assuming we get a green light from the parliamentarian, and it's happened before, so I'm encouraged by that precedent. That's our chance, and that bill will probably be voted upon in September. But the agreements will have to be made now, and the wording will have to be agreed upon, especially amongst Democrat leadership. I do hope that each of us keeps up the pressure. I can't emphasize enough that since 2006, Congress has failed at this because the Supreme Court has changed membership. Circumstances are now dire, and we can no longer rely on presidential executive orders to get us by. The time has come, and the only vehicle apparently available is the reconciliation bill. I hope all of us are cognizant of the vast responsibility we have to help get this done. And if we don't get this done in that bill, I'm not sure when the next opportunity can arise. We've been at this almost 2 decades, and the future doesn't augur well unless this happens. Thank you for listening to me. I hope you do all that you and your organizations can do to get this across the finish line, and thank you.